On the phone, we have former Cleveland Indian, Detroit Tiger, White Sox, Dodger, Rocky Colavito. How you doing, Mr. Colavito?
I'm fine. I'm fine. Thank you.
Good. I was looking at your bio here. I see you were a devout Yankee fan growing up. Who was your favorite player on those teams?
Years ago it was Joe DiMaggio.
Is this because he was Italian like you, or you just like the way he played?
No, I just, well, the Italian didn't hurt him, but I liked the way he played, really. I thought he was a great ball player.
When you were watching the Yankees growing up, those teams every year were playing for the World Series. Was there a reason why?
They had a great team. They had a lot of depth. They just had a great ball club. I mean, they had good pitching, good power, good hitting. I mean, they were a very great all-around team.
And then I see you dropped out of school at 16 because you wanted to play in the major leagues.
Well, I didn't go to the major leagues. I went to the minor leagues.
Right,
I never used to. There was a time when I wouldn't let that be said, but now it's long past time because I didn't want children to look and see that a major league baseball player dropped out of school at 16, and they could do that also. And because I thought education was so important.
What did your parents say when you decided to drop out of school?
Well, my mother passed away when I was 9, so my father, and I said I'd go to work, and he was from the old school, and he really didn't contest it a whole lot.
When the Yankees didn't sign you, did that surprise you?
When the Yankees did what?
When the Yankees didn't show a lot of interest in you, when you made it known that you wanted to play for them, did that surprise you at all?
Well, the Yankees did show interest, though, so you don't have that right.
Okay.
The Yankees showed some interest. They offered me a contract, but they wanted me to go to spring training without a contract. And if they liked me, they offered me I forget what it was, $5,000 or whatever it was. The Dodgers wanted to do the same thing, but I wasn't going to do that until I had something in hand. You know, bird in hand is better than two in the bush.
Exactly. Then the Indians gave you what you wanted, right?
Well, let's not say what I wanted.
Oh.
Let's say that they made me an offer that, that I could live with. You know.
I see
I
that
was
they
just a kid.
they
When I signed, I
deferred
was 17 years old.
they deferred 2/3 of your signing bonus though.
Listen, I'll tell you how it went. Okay.
Okay,
My
tell me.
brother was my manager, so to speak. Okay.
Okay.
And he looked after me. Okay. They gave me $1,250 to sign. Okay. They gave me $750 if I stayed 30 days. And they gave me another $1,000 if I stayed 60 days. So in all, that was $3,000. And then they gave me $300 a month, which was pretty good for Class D, because that's where I went, D, like in David, okay?
Okay.
So that was my entire salary for the year of 1951, which was peanuts, okay? And but I wanted to play. I gave my father $1,000 when I signed, and I gave my brother $100, which he didn't want to take, but I told him he's going to take it. And because he always gave me money, always looked after me, and I kept $150 and bought some clothes.
And then you called up to the Indians what in '55?
The end of '55, right?
And who was on those teams? Was Bob? You had what? Bob Feller and Al Rosen, or was Rosen already retired?
No, Rosen was there. It was Bob Feller, Mike Garcia, Early Wynn, Bob Lemon, Herb Score, my roommate, Art Hoodeman, and Bob Hooper. They had there was quite a few pitchers. And then they had Rosie played third. They had Sam Denny and Strickland played short, and Bobby Avila was the second baseman, and the first baseman was Vic Wirtz, and also Vic Wirtz was the first baseman.
No wonder why you wanted to play with the Indians. With that pitching staff, you don't want to face them.
Well, I didn't think of it like that. And the reason I didn't really want to sign with the Yankees, as much as they were my favorite team, I mean, you had to battle Bauer, Woodling, and when I signed, DiMaggio was still there, and they were touting Mickey Mantle, and I thought my chances of playing would be limited.
Oh, exactly with that lineup. I mean, they were just loaded. I mean, the Indians had a lot of talent, but the Yankees, like you said, they had all those all-stars. It was going to be tough.
Oh, yeah. Every one of those guys, even the ones that didn't play regular, or were platooned by Casey Stengel, or could have played regular anywhere.
I know Moose Skowron, who passed away recently, told the story that he got mad when Casey Stengel pinch hit for him, but they had so much talent that was normal.
Yep. Moose was a great friend of mine, and I miss him, and I felt terrible when he passed away. He was one of my 10 favorite players that I played against. He was a gentleman. He was a good guy. He was a straight arrow. He was really a good guy.
Oh, exactly. Tony Kubek said the same thing. They don't make him like Moose anymore.
No, he's right. Tony was right. Did you read that 61 by Tony Kubek and Terry Pluto?
Yes.
Yeah. I found that very interesting because that was a big year for us, and I was with the Tigers at the time.
I mean, I looked at your stats here. So you're with the Indians. You're hitting 40 home runs a year, competing against Harmon Killebrew for the lead. I mean, going against Mano. But again, being Italian, I remember hearing my dad say all the time, they don't make him like Rocky Colavito anymore. Or try to model yourself after Rocky Colavito. That guy could do it all.
Well, I appreciate that. You tell your dad that if he's still here.
He's still here. And so when you were playing with the Indians here, were you kind of surprised when they traded you after the, 59th season?
Yeah, it came as a shock.
What was the reason they traded you? I mean, you're sitting there, they're one of their top two players. I know they got Harvey Keene back, but you were a Cleveland icon.
Well, the best way I can explain it to you is that the grass is always greener on the other side of the fence. And they thought that they wanted a guy that was a consistent 300 hitter, which Harvey was. He had pretty nasty. That year, he was the league-leading hitter, and I was the league-leading home run hitter, tied with Killebrew. So they wanted a guy that they ended up with a guy that's a single double hitter and who could run, get down the line real good because he had a stance that we swung it and he was on his way. You know, he had that kind of swing, and he was a good player.
Would you say your best game was when you smashed the 4 home runs in the consecutive at-bats against the Orioles?
I would say so. My best single game.
I mean, did you feel different that day at the plate, or you just basically had a read on the pitcher?
Well, I didn't have a read on any pitcher. I came into the game 3 for 28, so I was struggling. I never used the word slump, and I was struggling. So, but they turned it around that game, and one of the writers, who was now deceased, was the beat writer for the Indians by the name of Harry Jones. And Harry said, "Hey, Rock, when are you going to come out of it?" Around the batting cage we were. And he didn't take in batting practice. And he said, "When are you going to come out of this slump?" And I just looked at him and I said, "What slump?" I would never admit to a slump. And he said, "Oh, come on, you know what I mean." I said, "Well, I'm having a little tough time right now." I said, "But you never know, Harry." I said, "It might be just tonight. It might just be tonight." I said, and he just kind of smirked, you know. And he wasn't a ripper. He just wrote the facts, you know. And it turned out that it was that night.
What do you think of Frank Lane when he made the comment about the trade, when he said he traded hamburger for steak?
Yeah. Well, Frank Lane was not one of my favorite people. As a matter of fact, I can't think of anything good to say about him, so I probably shouldn't say anything at all. But to me, he just wasn't a good person. So I'll go that far. And he deserves more than that. But he just wasn't a good human being. That's all I can tell you that.
I like Bill DeWitt's response that he enjoyed hamburger over steak.
Yeah. Well, Bill DeWitt was a decent man. He really was. And I got traded over there, and I had a small bonus coming to me for, I can't even remember exactly for what, but it was like, I think it was $3,000 or something. And he called me up and he wrote me the check for that small bonus that I would have gotten if I hit so many home runs, and he made sure that I had it.
What was it like playing with Al Kaline?
I'm sorry?
What was it like playing with Al Kaline in Detroit?
Kaline was a great player. I mean, Kaline could do everything. He could run, he could throw, he could field, he could hit with power. He was a hell of a good player.
I mean, you had those corner outfield positions basically taken care of because you both had real strong arms. I saw that you could throw a ball from home plate over center field fence coming up.
Yeah, I did that on numerous occasions.
Did you ever have contests?
It was always about a bet, most of the time.
Did you ever have a throwing contest against Kaline?
No. No. Well, Kaline was a center fielder. They made him a center fielder when I came up, when I got traded to them, okay?
Okay.
So, but Kaline didn't like center field that much, and he was an outstanding center fielder. He really was, and he could, like I said, he could run, he could throw, he could field. I mean, he went and got the ball. He got a good jump on the ball. He was a good outfielder, and the bottom line was that the rumor was that he didn't like the competition for the All-Star game, and I'm being frank here, and I don't know this to be 100% fact either. That he didn't like the competition of Mantle in center field for the All-Star games. So he wanted to play right field. So I want to go back to right field, and they called me and asked me if I wouldn't mind going back to left field because they had a deal that was imminent for Billy Bruton. And I said, look, I don't care where I play. Just put my name in the lineup every day. If left field or right field makes no difference to me. So, and I made the switch to left field, which I hadn't played in the big leagues. I did in spring training maybe once or twice. I don't know. Played center field in spring training too. I played center field my first year.
But there's a difference playing center field versus right field because the ball comes off the bat different.
Say that. Repeat that, David.
When you're playing center field, though, it's a different, basically, vision when you see the ball come off the bat because it looks like every ball's kind of coming at you, whereas I think it's easier to judge a ball in right or left field.
There's no doubt about it. You don't have the slices or the hooks, and you see the ball off the bat like you just said, and I think it affords you a better chance to get a good jump because you're right behind the pitcher, and you see where the ball is being pitched. If it's outside, inside, you get a little advantage. So I always thought center field was the easiest. I played center field, and I played the other position. So in my opinion, center field was the easiest. The whole thing is they wanted somebody that could run. I mean, I got a good jump on the ball, so I covered my position. I think I led the league in putouts my first year at Daytona Beach, Class D, and I was a center fielder the whole year.
I see that sports writer Joe Falls it seemed like a big fan of yours. Basically said that you had like kind of an attitude there and because you were holding out for more money than Kaline.
That was never true. I didn't know how much Kaline was making. I was just holding out. I held out for a good raise. I hit 45 home runs on 140 runs batted in. So I thought I was entitled, and I hit 290 all season. And I thought I was entitled to a good raise. And I didn't know what Kaline was making, so that never entered in my mind, ever.
You were just trying to basically make as much money as you could.
That's exactly right. And that's what most baseball players try to do. Most athletes try to do. Basketball, baseball, whatever it is, they try to get the best contract they can, and that's what I tried to do. And the thing about it, Joe Falls was a degenerate. He was an out-and-out degenerate. He was a snake in the grass. And when I first joined the Detroit Tigers, I knew Aguirre because I played with him. And through the minors, I was his best man at his wedding. I knew Norm Cash from that spring because he got traded in the spring over to Detroit. And they all said, be careful of that guy, Joe Falls. He said he's a snake in the grass. He'll interview and then he'll write lousy things about you. And I said, I thought, well, let's see. And he rode with me all the way back from Cleveland to Detroit on the bus, and was pumping me and asking me questions so he could write and I was very gracious and did whatever I could to try to help him. I answered his questions, and he started out by saying he was from Brooklyn. You know, we're both from New York City, and I'm from the Bronx, and you know, and it seemed like he was going to be decent, but he turned out to be exactly what they said, a snake in the grass.
Was it because he liked Dale Kaline so much, or he just was?
No, I don't think he liked anybody. I don't think he liked anyone a whole lot. He just had that poison pen thing. He just couldn't wait to write something nasty. He had a column when I was on the road. RNBI, runs not batted in. He wouldn't dare do it at home because he knew I'd confront him, which I did on another occasion. So he was not one of my favorite people, for sure.
Did he back down once you confronted him, or he stayed the same?
Once I confronted him, I wouldn't talk to him again.
Oh, okay.
I never talked to him again. That's what you're probably referring to. I never talked to him again. And if I had a good day and the writers came around and wanted to interview me, and he was there, I said, I'm not talking to any of you until this guy gets out of here. And so I tried to hurt him a little bit, you know, in that sense. I'm being very honest with you. And I tried to hurt him a little bit because he hurt me. And I was only retaliating for the stuff he was writing about me. And then, you know what, but there was another guy, Jerry Green, who was his buddy. And Jerry wrote for an afternoon paper, and Jerry would give him all the information. I should have not probably talked to Jerry Green, but he was he wouldn't bother anybody, really. And so that's how he got his information, from Jerry Green. Because the rest of the guys, you know, that I knew didn't give him any information. He didn't have to. This one guy supplied him with all the answers that they asked him. Like, if I hit 2 home runs in the game, or I did this or that, whatever, you know. And so that was the story about him. But the one time that I really exploded on him was we were playing the Orioles, and Robin Roberts was pitching, and Robbie threw me a pitch. I just missed it at the bottom of the ball, and I skied it to deep right center. No, I lied, not deep right center, short right center. I hit the bottom of the ball and a good part of the bat, but it went straight up, and it was way up there. And the right fielder, the shortstop, and the second baseman converged on it. Maybe the center fielder, I don't remember exactly, but at least 3 players converged on it, and they all looked at each other, and the ball dropped right between them. And I got a hit, you know, which I thought was a hit, and he was the official scorer, and he called it an error. So I told the manager, I said, when he comes into the interview, to your interview with him, I said, I want to come in there because I want to nail him. I said, and he loved that, you know, that manager we had.
You weren't going to take grief from anyone. I mean, the guy in the stands, you're famous for going after the guy in the stands.
Yeah, well, when I went in the stands, I could see my father swinging. That was a different thing. But getting back to the other thing, the Falls, I said, okay. He came in there, and I said to him, all right, who are you going to give the error to? I said, nobody touched it. 4 guys were there. 3, 4 guys were there. I said, tell me who you're going to give the error. He was stuttering all over the place. He didn't know who to give the error to. So, again, like I said, he was the official scorer. So I called him every name that I could think of, okay? And that was a lot, okay? And I challenged him. I said, you take the first punch, I said, and then I'm going to wipe up this office with you. And he said, are you crazy? You think I'm going to swing at you? So he wouldn't do it. So that ended that, and I left. I was furious. I felt like I was cheated, and I was. And so that was that. When I went up in the stands, my father, I saw him swinging, and that all goes to another story, okay?
Right.
That's all about my wife, actually. My wife was being tormented by some guy, and my brother already knocked him out. So, but I didn't see that. If I would have seen my brother, that would have been worried, because my brother was the best street fighter I ever saw.
And he was your older brother, so he was always taking care of you, right?
Yeah, he was almost 7 years older than me, not quite. He's now deceased.
But
In fact, as both of my brothers are.
were you happy when you got traded back to the Indians?
Yes, I was. It was a three-way deal.
And then you got to play for your childhood favorite team, the Yankees. That'd be fun because you still had some of the great players still there.
No, actually, Mickey was there.
Yeah.
And he was actually, one of the few left. And Whitey was there, but Whitey was hurt a lot, and so he really wasn't that active that year.
It was a pleasure talking to you, hearing all these stories.
Okay.
Thank you very much for your time.